And it took a little bit, but we're back, and that's the important part. Now we got ourselves one more match for the night to end off with. TeamSESH should be a absolute banger.
Yeah, and these are two teams that did have a little bit of history going into this game, actually playing each other in the Swiss stage, with Unity actually winning 7-4 against Sesh. So interesting to see if Sesh is going to be out for blood, or if Unity's just going to take it again and really just show them who the boss is.
I mean, it feels like it should be a close one, obviously. As I mentioned, 7-4. The revenge game is there. Everyone's here looking, trying to see what can they do. Can they get that revenge going? Obviously, I think TeamSESH want to get a comeback going. Don't want to see anything go too bad. They want to see how much can they put on the pressure. How much can they start strong. We'll get into these rosters here. Badger, Space, TK, Cirx, and Kicksa. A lot of names you'd realistically know here. TeamSESH alone, a big name in the T3 scene. They've been around for a long time, had a lot of really big events, so should always be a banger and a delight to see them.
Yeah, Sesh is a team full of people who have been around the scene for a minute, and I think we actually did get to speak with one of them here in an interview.
Yo, my name is Cirx, and I compete for TeamSESH. Honestly, about Unity, like how we're trying to prep for them, I mean, they're idiots, bro. Like, they just hop out windows and shit. I mean, I can't curse, my bad, but they just hop out windows. Like, honestly, just look out a window and then yo kill BJL or Q. That's really it. And then for Vic Bands, he's just gonna be on Ella. He's useless. Oh, Vic Bands, bro. Bro, shut that kid down, and he's no. If he doesn't get 4 at the start of the game, he's 0-8. I promise you. If he gets 4, all right, then he's like a fucking Sukan level threat. Like, he's the Don. But that's really it. The goal in map bans, I mean, Scrimsby really owned him on every map, so I don't think it really matters. But there's a map we gotta like take him to, is probably layer or club, maybe. Probably one of those.
Yeah. And on to the rosters of Unity. There are Hat, Hiru, Vic Band, certainly the most known, BJL, and Ref. A lot of names, obviously. And I think that interview did at least show what the plan is for TeamSESH. They have one man they got to worry about. And to be fair, one very, very strong man. No one is going to disregard what Vic Bands can do in a good game. So they certainly got to be careful going into this map.
Yeah, and especially with what we're seeing there too, with Hat coming through out of Unity. That's another name that they will have to look out for. So 2 real big names from Unity that we've seen that really going to be a tough one. Now, they did say they wanted to go to some certain maps, saying Layer and Club, but I don't think we're going to either of those from what it looks like, as we're seeing Layer be banned out early as well as Club, and we're going to a Fortress game. That's a game for sure.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you mentioned it before. You straight up said they're probably going to go to Fortress. So you don't want to give yourself a pat on the back for that. Seriously, that's a hell of a prediction. And more importantly, it's a map that I think everyone loves to see. It's new. There's a lot of new strategies you're going to see. And this is always one of those maps where we've seen players go boom or bust. As they mentioned, obviously, in that interview, this is absolutely a map where they could see Vic Bands go 0-8 or drop 20. And it feels like there could very well be no in between.
Yeah, and this is a map that Sesh is familiar with, where we saw them play it in Open Qualifier 1. If you were watching, it was the first game on stream. It was a game against Land of Oo. So 2 very different teams playing Fortress, but Sesh is going back to Fortress, starting on the defensive start. It's going to be an interesting one to see if we're going to see the same Sesh we saw before on Fortress, and if they're just going to be able to shut Vic Bands down like they were really wanting to.
Hey, but as you mentioned, Hat's still on the board there. Don't be too careful. You can't exactly shut down one man too much. You could always see him go big, or really any of the roster, let's be honest. I think that though Vic Bands is certainly the biggest name, as I mentioned, he'll be a lot of the aggression, that big beating heart for the group of Unity. It doesn't mean there's nobody else that can go big. So you got to be careful. Maybe if you go a little bit too aggressive on the Bands for one man, if you really try to target what Vic Bands does, you could very well leave other options open for someone else. Leave someone like Hat, Badger to get on that board.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely going to be a good game. So, interesting to see. This is what Sesh wanted. So it looks like Sesh is already in the advantage when just going through the map bans alone, getting both defense and a map that they were wanting in Fortress that we know that they really love and enjoy, versus a team that has maybe some issues on maps like these. Really not the really big frag heavy maps that you would expect, like a chalet or like a cafe. And really, again, it's going to push Unity to their limits.
That's a fair point to see. And I think another thing is that, as they mentioned, TeamSESH tends to scrim a lot. They're a very big scrimming team. We know what they're going to do. They love prepping for these sort of things. So you're putting them on their map pick. They really, like, this is their perfection in terms of what they would have won. So now they get to go to that. And more importantly, I think this is one that is a sneaky, well-played one for them.
For sure, as we're seeing them come, the bands coming out here.
And as that first one flies in, we get ourselves a drum roll, please, Montang and a Zami. Now remember, what you may see in one game, or even SILCQ closed, because there was a whole lot of teams doing a whole lot of different things. This is, there's not that many plays of it in the lower ranks right now. A lot of, T1 teams did a little bit of committing to it, but a lot are very unsure. So this is one of those cases where I don't think any single person is going to have a quite big grasp of the meta. T3 is going to have a very different meta compared to T1. And I think everyone's going to have a bit of a difference in terms of what they think is most important here. You're at least going to see a little bit of basics. Your shield is going to be very strong. The glass is still common. And then you're going to commit to the, the powerful ops in the defense. There's no surprise when you see the vigil off the board. I think it was kind of how we know that possession general at times, especially on Fortress. So get out of the way early. Try to maybe limit sort of the very powerful and what, in my opinion, is a much better map knowledge.
Yeah, and Sesh having that zombie band against him, that's going to hurt a little bit. I'm not too decided on that vigil band out of Unity. As from what I've seen out of Sesh before on this map, is they don't go for too crazy of roam strat with that vigil. Now, maybe they've seen something in scrims against Sesh that I haven't seen, obviously, but it looks like something that to be noted of is that maybe more of a throwaway band, thinking, oh, we'll just take like the boss or the SMG-12 off the board. And really, does that come back to bite them, not banning it up, like maybe the Denari or the Aruni, that really would have helped them more?
And that's a fair point. And for some of you that may be a little bit newer to this map here, this little horse area that is being covered by a beautiful observer and currently by Cloud. This is the most important area in the map, arguably. If you take away that area as the side of Unity, this is a miserable rotation side. You need to confirm this. You need to control it for either side. That is your do or die position there for essentially any big rotation. So keep your eyes on that side there. Keep your eyes on what we're going to see from Unity moving into there, because it's not going to be an easy fight. And I'd almost guarantee there's going to be bodies and utility galore sitting there waiting for efficacy, waiting for someone to really sneak in there, think it's going to be easy, and then find its value.
Yeah, and we're seeing the extension over into games at Old Tower here out of Sesh, really trying to put the pressure on them and not give them any space to work with. Playing that with the Warden too, so you can't just dump them out with normal util, like flashbangs, stun, smokes. He's just going to punish you every time. Now, it looks like they are going for this game's wall, which is going to be big to take, especially when trying to take over this side over, this game's over, into really taking onto this bathroom site, which it looks like Sesh is just giving up this ground early, which is what they're known to do. Force you to spend util and make you waste time, and really just giving up the space that they're okay with leaving.
Yeah, and I'd argue that they probably even predetermined this. They maybe looked at how does Unity play? How does Vic Bands play? Because he's obviously, I think, had a couple of different plays in this map previously. But swings go wide. Zerk's going to find one, but at least be traded by Vic Bands. Badger as well. JL should keep the ball rolling in the 4v3. TeamSESH continue to have the advantage, and Vic Bands is still on the board. So as they mentioned, be careful about what he can do, because he is truly a dominant superstar. He is truly one of these players that no matter what the situation looks like, no matter how grim it may seem, he'll continue to find value even if it looks impossible, and Kixow going to have a lot of flashes coming his way. They're hurling every bit of utility at him because they know how powerful this horse area can be, and Hat's going to find Kixow, keep that ball rolling once again, get those picks on the board, keep it an even game. I got to wait a little bit here in terms of what's the play from both sides.
And it looks like we're starting to get on execute, but I don't think they believe that Sesh is still in this bathtub as the plant's going down, but they're going to punish him immediately.
Yeah, absolute madness at the end there. I was over there thinking, maybe they're going to take a slow post plant. It's Unity. They're aggressive, but they're going to commit slow. It's a new map to them. Absolutely not. They said, what does slow mean? What does non-aggressive mean? We have Vic bans. That is absolutely our card today. There is no hiding what they're going to do. And at the end of the day, even TeamSESH mentioned it. This is a hyper-aggressive team. This is a team that absolutely knows what they're going to do in terms of playing this. They're going to go aggressive. They're going to try to push the pen in terms of being that better gunner team. Like Send Guns, in my opinion, in that way. Both of them are really built on the aggression. But I do think that Unity has a much better star for it. They have that pure entry player that can really continue to find picks. And could easily average a double around here in terms of advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like the gunning is going better for Unity. Looks like TeamSESH was gonna have a little bit more of a hold there towards the end, and they really just got picked apart one by one until it was a 3v1, and nothing you can really do in that scenario, especially against these guns on Unity. But we're seeing a side swap. So instead of taking over towards that bathroom side, we're gonna go play games and dorms and really try and put more pressure on that extension back over to see what they can do to Unity.
Yeah, a little bit of shakiness from ref there, or from rep, excuse me. And once again, I'm assuming the dude just has a crazy mouse setting. A lot of these players do. Once again, aggression tends to equal some crazy settings, so not a big surprise, honestly. I'm not all too worried. TK on Sesh is playing a bit of a newer pick. One I've seen a handful of times within the regions, but once again, this map is so new. I think a lot of picks can be justified in terms of play. But if you're going for the pick, you got about all of them in one role. Rooney, the Roonies are all picks. I do think that there's true value there, even if it is a bit weirder. And you're seeing the Pulse and the Chanka. In terms of ways to play, you couldn't think more out of the box for TeamSESH.
Yeah, for sure. And they're playing this mix of this time waste, but also this util waste, bringing out both the Denari and the Aruni, but also getting some intel out of this Pulse as they know where they each other are. But it looks like there's going to be a flank going on the other side if they aren't careful. They don't have this Pulse cleared out below, and that could really come back to bite them.
He sits and he waits. Simply waits for the moment where he can find his value. But Unity is not going to do the same thing. TeamSESH have a little bit of idea of sitting down, waiting for the lurk to pop up, waiting for the flank opportunity to be there. That doesn't exist with Unity. They see a chance to absolutely run it down, and I feel like that's always going to be the plan. Vic Bands, at least, is still, I think, kind of playing himself a little more passive, maybe. Maybe he's waiting, I think, to really get the go-ahead to push his entire team in. They're at least going to do a little bit of droning here, but I will say Horse giving up very easy. But they didn't really hold a long roam here. They went pretty normal outside of TK setting himself downstairs and really nesting, trying to find what I'd like to call like a lottery ticket here. If he gets on drone, like he currently is, he could very well find value galore. But if you do drone him, it could have been a very disastrous pick there. And you're at least seeing Unity find their value, make that 1v5. They did find that flank in fact. It won't matter if you stop the postman here. A 1v4 is a near impossible situation. You have a pistol in hand to do it. You need perfection here, and with a prone on the ground, the double swing comes in. Unity finishes. More importantly, McMahon gets another one on the board. The aggression continues to be the calling card for the group.
Yeah, and it looks like Sesh is just being read like a book. Really, just Unity is finding where their weaknesses are and really just putting the pressure on it and just absolutely forcing them to collapse. As we're going for another side rotation, going down to the first floor on that waiting cafeteria. They're just really putting this pressure on Sesh, and Sesh just aren't able to get a rebound. They tried going for a little bit more of an intel on this roam and really just still being punished on it.
Now you gotta find a way to pick it up. TeamSESH, back. Not gonna lie, we've seen similar things. Let's not act like a comeback is impossible. We literally just saw a game go to overtime when they were down 2-4. So let's not act like this. I think that anything is quite said and done. And more importantly, it feels like a map like this can always really change. We already saw within the LCQs, pretty much every single region had a different take on that. Every single region played it differently in terms of what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, and how it played out in terms of splits. So when you look at that, don't get too worrisome if you're TeamSESH. I think even they know it maybe won't be our strongest map because there's still a lot of experimenting. There's still a lot of questioning what's that true meta strategy for a team that is generally more slowed down in their play style. So they got to obviously pick it up here, see what they can find, try to get themselves at least that even half, but preferably want that 4-2, as that is generally what you want as a standard in NA Siege.
Yeah, especially on this defensive side, of which from what we've seen out of Fortress and a few different LCQs and stuff, that the defense side is the stronger side on this map. But we see that out of every new map. We haven't really seen a new map come through that's really starting off as this attacker side.
Yeah, now what can Unity do to keep their streak going? 2 rounds in a row is certainly a strong start, and no one would deny that. But now you go to the first floor site, a lot more in terms of crazy ideas, a lot more in terms of what you can do. We've seen some big failures from teams, and we've seen some massive successes. So this is that stage where you can really show what do you have in the experimental idea. Because nobody really knows what is the true plan here. What is the true best way to play this set? There isn't a bona fide, first pick. First floor is generally the weakest site. However, that doesn't mean you can't find value here. I think you are going to see Unity are going to get a bit of a freebie on the verticality, and this will be, I think, a bit of a blunder maybe from the team, obviously, of TeamSESH. Maybe a little bit too new to the map, didn't realize how important this can be. You can control a lot here in terms of the flow of the site from just that simple area, from just that verticality. You can really fight and essentially take any real post-man situation you wish if you can get that verticality done.
Yeah, but it looks like Sets are going for more of an extended out. We've seen them have these head holes played out, allowing for them to not have to necessarily sit on the site and really play like a retake style on it and really force them to hold it deep. A minute left here in the round and really no engagements coming through as the first one's coming through between Kicks and BJL as BJL takes him off the board.
And a body goes flying, and it doesn't come in the way Sesh would want, as it feels like this continues. The momentum has continued to just keep going in the direction of Unity here. It feels like the aggression maybe in a map that isn't as refined for TeamSESH benefits them. They can, afford to really push the pencil and push how much they can go aggressive here, take those crazy fights, because there isn't a perfect amount of refinement for a lot of teams. But for most of them, it's going to be a little bit weird, obviously, to start in. And you're already going to see a plant go down. Kira going to get it done. Vic Bands finds a pick, but the plant is at least going to be stopped. TK goes with 2 now. He's looking for even more. Badger also gets on the board, keeps the ball rolling. And more importantly, TeamSESH just at that 15-second mark find themselves an advantage made even larger by TK. Now triple on the round. BJL going to have to go miracle time. He wants to get this done, but realistically in the 2v1, you can do all you want. But with bodies split up like this is at least finally that first round for TeamSESH.
Yeah, definitely a way to resend it back and really try and get this momentum shifted back into your favor as we go through this next side rotation in through these bands.
Yeah, and now you got to see what can be done with your final bands. So you're at least going to see that last one come in. Maybe a shield? Absolutely not. They say Unity is going to be... I mean, it's not a bad idea. Once again, the aggression, TeamSESH is going to recognize it. They're down 2-1, but they more importantly know you cannot afford to let this aggression stay. And you're going to do your best here. You're going to get rid of the most aggressive hard breacher, force them to commit to maybe something a little slower paced, or Habana, which certainly is not as good. You're also going to see the Mura go away. Not a big surprise. I think on a map that's still as new as this, those one-way windows, even if they're not the strongest long-term, if we see this 6 months from now, currently, how I think unrefined the meta is right now, those mirror windows can be such a godsend to save spaces, and more importantly, to really lock down areas that wouldn't be possible right now.
Yeah, and Sesh has been using that mirror almost every single round to really kind of give them that pressure and that extension that they really want. Where banning the ace out against Unity is really going to allow them not only to get off a gun that is really strong in that AK-12, but really not to allow them to play as aggressive as they have been and really hopefully slow them down on these attacks.
Yeah, and now heading into that round, not a crazy amount of picks that are going to change. I will say, a little surprised by one, I think you may be as well. Actually, 2, now that I really look at it. You're going to see an aggressive team at heart, a team that loves to run it down, pick the most lurking, sneakiest out possible, and no. A little crazy, but I can get why. The map is certainly a little bit wonky in terms of we don't know all the comms yet. A lot of teams certainly don't. So you maybe can catch something out of there. But Vic Bands as well hops on the M4. He was a really big ARX fan, obviously. I think I'm surprised they're committing him to maybe a little bit more of a slower role at heart. They're committing him to the hard reach that is, it takes time to do. So you're obviously maybe going to see slowed aggression from the group of Unity now as your star player is going to be forced to maybe get some walls occasionally.
Yeah, the M4 is still a really good gun though, so he's going to be able to still play the way he wants, as we're starting to see maybe an early engagement come out here. But we're also seeing a team playing that is really playing aggressive, run a gridlock as well too, really just under the fear that maybe someone is going to be lurking on them. It looks like Space might be getting some fight here. They're into the round, so we don't know for sure yet.
Right, as you said, the chaos erupts. BJ is going to find one. Euro as well gets on the board, keep the ball rolling. And as I think Euro makes two now. Double it up, if you will, get more on the board. BJ, currently everyone's getting the double kill that started off here, getting the job done. More importantly, they already got themselves a beautiful lead, finished off by Hat. It feels like that, that advantage, that aggression, doesn't matter what you do right now. If anything, it went more aggressive. You somehow put at least the more passive op on two of your most aggressive players, and instead of playing like maybe the more intended use of those operators, maybe instead of playing like a more passive, sneaky playstyle, they did anything but. In fact, they went about as aggressive as humanly possible. At the end of the day, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, not at all. And the aggression we're still consistently seeing out of Unity, even putting their better guns on, like what you mentioned, of these slower ops, it doesn't really matter because they're just saying, okay, well, we're going to put them slower, and then we're just going to have everyone else go aggressive, right? We saw it there. BJL getting two, as well as Kira getting two on the Thermite as well, too, playing really aggressive. Where Seth is trying to match this aggression that we're seeing out of Unity, and it's not working in their favor. Where it feels like Sesh need to maybe play more passive and force them, Unity, to play into their, like a spider web almost. Play this web style defense that we've seen them play on this map before, and really kind of hold them down and not allow them just kind of run free like they are.
5 seconds remaining.
The perfect point to make, if I do say so myself. No caster glaze, I promise. But I mean, you mentioned a really great point there, is that TeamSESH haven't done that same style before, and I think this is once again they're reacting maybe too much to the aggression here. There's certainly something you should change in their game plan. I think every single team, in terms of how they play against Unity, is going to change how they play against almost any other team. Because Vic Bands, at the end of the day, is probably one of the biggest boomer bust players in terms of what he can do. His ceiling in any game is higher than almost anyone on the entirety of XGS right now. And I think even anyone would admit that to you. So you have to obviously adjust maybe about how you want to play. Or maybe not giving those isolated 1v1 gunfights. Because you don't want to give them to someone like Vic Bands. Maybe you want to play more clumped up. But I think so far that clumped up style isn't working out in the favor. And when they really do go for the aggression and try to match it, as you mentioned, it just isn't enough because you're seeing it doesn't matter how well you think you play the game, it feels like Unity just continues to do it.
Yeah, it looks like TK's trying to give some a little bit early aggression, kind of falling off a little bit, not allowing them to get an early pick on him, but still giving this a little bit of aggression that could come back to bite if they aren't careful. But you do have the Ela playing up as well too, really kind of giving you a little bit of a helping hand and really kind of helping play this more like play off each other and play more into that web style like I was mentioning. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to keep holding this as they're just trying to burn as much time away. Now running the Goyo as well to really help delay as much time as possible and not allow them to play this super aggro style.
With a minute 30 left, picks should come in. As I say that, I feel like Zhao finds himself one more into BJL, continues to keep that rolling. And I will say, we did see the Nook play. It was still aggressive as ever. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is there with picking the Nook. It's still a bit of a question mark in my opinion. Maybe the gun is a preference. Maybe they really want the nades. Maybe they just think the cam here. It's still a new map, so maybe the cam. Maybe potentially defaults, keeping this home free. It hasn't worked out so far, really, in that favor. It hasn't really found its value and utility, but it's still found the occasional kill. So far, well, so a lot of the power has come in from Sesh just being a little more refined now. We're seeing, I think, finally, it feels like calmed down within themselves. It feels like they were trying to maybe either match or maybe a little too stressful. Yeah, it's almost hard to describe. They're a little bit over-aggressive at times. But TK finding another body here, and more importantly, it feels like finally everything's coming together for Sesh. They might be able to salvage this into a 3-3 half.
Yeah, like we were seeing, is they're playing this over aggressive as they've now kind of played it back a little bit and forcing Unity to swing into them versus overextending and swinging into Unity as they comes from through and they're just kind of running into sight.
Yeah, you're going to try to see them pick it up here. Find the method and the madness as TeamSESH needs to do here. Get something together as Hat's going to try to go for the plant here. But you're going to see pretty much every single person in this lobby here is looking to try to find it here, with more importantly a down on the man watching him. TeamSESH is going to find the round and continue to keep that hope of an even half alive. And more importantly, I think it's that second chance that you need here. The redemption we originally saw, in that first map there is you can really redeem yourself after starting out down like this. And it feels like it's finally coming together for them.
Yeah, Sesh is kind of playing their own game versus trying to match Unity's almost. It's like they're playing into their own game versus how we've seen them before. Like we're seeing they're playing their style of Siege, not trying to play into Unity's and try and beat them at Unity style of game. They just need to reset and play their own style and really force Unity to play into theirs instead.
Yeah, I mean, at least it looks like they found their success there. They found the formula to keep them going on the defense. Tech, that's a whole other question we'll have to answer down in just a couple of rounds here. Actually, just one away. But for now, you still have one more hurrah on the TeamSESH defense here. You want to find that even half, obviously. A 4-2 isn't really most advised. We'll bridge any half here, especially that attacking. I will say, with a map as new as Fortress, you can see plot points all across the board in terms of the data. There is no correlation to halves right now. Players and teams just haven't quite figured out the formula, the method of success right now. So you might see some games like this go to a 3-3 or 4-2, and it's normal. I've seen ones go to a 5-1 where you can still pull it back and win. So even if you see a weird half, even if you see a 4-2 on the attacking side, I'd still say look out, because this is one of those that's so early right now. It's so hard to tell what the meta is. You can still see a easy win from them.
Yeah, no one's really found the method to the madness of Fortress yet, right? It's a brand new, reworked map into the pool for the first time ever, even back when Fortress hadn't been reworked. I don't think it was ever in the pool. Now, that's been ages ago since Fortress was introduced as a map, but it's been a long time, right? Brand fresh new look at this map. Really, no one has figured it out yet. Still very early, but Sesh almost seemed like they have an idea wanting to bring teams to this. Kind of really letting it go through, but they're really just kind of trying to see what they can really pressure on this map. Really kind of stress test it against some of these teams who are more aggressive like Unity, and really kind of force Unity to play into their own style versus theirs.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, that almost web-like style where they can maybe, play just a little bit more spread out, but more importantly, the crosses are there. The idea that you can fall back at some point and still be fine is the important piece here. And another one falls in a domino, more importantly, in the favor of TeamSESH as Vic fans, the starter himself, goes down. He's been having a little bit of a weaker game for his expectations. 5-3 certainly isn't bad for any team. I think even they'd tell you that. But for a player like Vic fan, it feels like every single game we see this man dropping 15. So maybe a little bit of a slow start. Still certainly, not too early to see him come back up. Not going to act like he's doing bad by any means, but a little bit to worry about. And more importantly, TeamSESH have given themselves the opportunity to fall back if they want with the pick in hand, and more importantly, with the time already reaching just a minute left.
Yeah, they're able to fall back into that web style defense as Kier's going to get the pick on space. But picking off Vic Bands, not only do you pick off Vic Bands, but you also pick off the Dokkaebi, which allows them to play into the style and not have to worry about these Dokkaebi calls if the sequel comes out. Hat's going to go down, which is not who you want, as that is your Grim as well, too.
And the job gets even harder here. TK continuing to find himself on the board. It seems he's become the current big player there to watch out there. Shotgun will do wonders as well, and a nice little trade ended off, and more importantly, a cleanup of the century on this side of TeamSESH. 3 in a row. Excuse me, close to 3 in a row. 2 in a row. Either way, a strong play from them, and now you get to see that swap the half. You get to see a team that was more passive in their play style, a team that, once again, as you mentioned, had that web style. How are you going to interpret that coming into this new half, into a half that is a lot of unforeseen territory?
Yeah, as we're seeing some of these bans come out, they're actually going to be banning out Flash. So interesting to see. Maybe they're going to be trying to take like a faster style play, like we saw at Unity early on, as they're also banning out the Melusi as well too, where Unity's like, okay, we'll just get rid of the Dokkaebi and the Blackbeard, two very standard bans nowadays. But interesting to see how that will play out for Sesh. Yeah, and banning out both the Melusi and Flash, you're really like, okay, we're just gonna try and not let you delay as much time as possible. They're gonna want to set up their side of the map. They're gonna want to set up where they want and really kind of go for that execute, and not have to worry about all this extra util. That's really just gonna be a pain in their side. Where Unity just wanted to get rid of the Dokkaebi and the Blackbeard, really just allowing themselves to really kind of play a little bit more free flowing and not have to worry about these heavy roam clears. But I don't think it's going to matter too much when they're still bringing out the Deimos and the Grim, really trying to prevent these roam heavy sides.
Yeah. Odd question. How much did you hear of what I said there? Most of it and half of it?
Yeah, I heard about most of it before your internet cut out for a second. You're all good though.
All right, yeah. Yeah, mid-explosion of the internet, apparently the router doesn't like me doing anything casting related, but we're back. We're actually alive this time. Hopefully the internet will stay long-term for the rest of this half. That'd be the perfection part. Now Hat in a position to really get himself on the board. Use zombies for the flexibility, and more importantly, he really needs to keep himself alive, because if you die with so much utility in your back pocket, it's gonna suck. As I say, that kicks out, certainly proves my point there, gets rid of Hat, and now you lose 2 zombies already in his pocket. More importantly, what would have been more? You're going to have pretty much everything that could have been potential for him. Everything that could have really changed the game, changed the sight, is going to be gone. It's going to make this a much harder play where Unity can't go as aggressive as they want because those zombies there can't really facilitate.
Yeah, and they're using the Deimos really to push this Ella back in Vicpan's and really just not allow him to set up and get into a comfortable position and allow him to be the player we've always seen him to be, as Vicpan is going to pick up onto Badger, as that is your Twitch down as well too, which is not something you want to be losing, especially with all the util still up.
I was going to say the intel goes awry here, but I think in this case you have plenty of it to go around. And apparently the MP4 is just another insane gun here. I don't know what the play was there, but the aggression still shows community. It feels like that is certainly not going to change. And as the madness ensues, and more importantly, you saw the like. Obviously, losing the Twitch is going to hurt. Anti-utility, anti-gadget is going to hurt things. But you also have a Grim and a Deimos, so I don't think you're really going to worry too much about maybe dealing with a couple of lone players. I think you have the perfect setup.
Yeah, especially having the Deimos checks up as the smoke still doesn't, but he doesn't know where the plant's going down, and that might come to bite him as he does get the carrier. And we're back into a 2v2 situation.
Madness has to ensue here. You have to see that pickup now from the side of Unity. The aggression that so was signature for them in that attacking half. Now they got to try to convert it into the defensive side here. And with the 1v2, it's not going to be possible. The cross was held perfect. TK is going to finish. And more importantly, Sesh proved that this attacking side is going to be a signature for them.
Yeah, and it looked like Vicbans was kind of stuck in a weird spot where he really couldn't do anything, especially with those Deimos checks constantly coming out, feeding the info to his team. Even while he was planning, he still was able to see where the Ella was and really just allowed his team to kind of form what was the web that they wanted on holding all the angles and allowing them to get this plant down. Really well played from Sesh. Really trying to see how we can get that web style defense moved onto these attacks and really just playing off each other and playing off the camaraderie that they have versus trying to play just individual gun style that we've seen out of Unity where they could just one player go pop off, one player go pop off here. They're really playing it more together and as a group.
Yeah, and I think that I was also one thing I was a little more surprised by there was which they didn't even touch horse. There was no level of even horse defense there really. Kind of just let it go away, which I think to any of you that have seen Fortress in its limited play time and its limited time you've really been on the Pro League circuit or in the allowed map pool, it's generally a very essential hold there. It doesn't matter what site you're on. If you're playing the second floor, you need to hold horse to have a really good roam. But Unity kind of disregarded that in terms of the really big bodies there. They didn't send that much there. And I think that was maybe a part of the reason that TeamSESH was able to get so close to site so quickly. Because there wasn't that much to stop. There wasn't that big stronghold in a horse like you generally see. So instead, they can cut off a lot of the roam that could have been made. They can really sit themselves down and go for the kill. And now, you gotta see a bit of a pickup once again from the group of Unity. The aggression that we saw Vic Bands needs to continue to go big. I think he's once again the big name to watch out for. They're facilitating him. They're giving him the Ella for the best gun. They're giving him every chance in the world to prove that he is the Starfragger they know him to be. That he is that absolute dominion that they have to worry about.
Yeah, and they're already trying to get some early aggression on him. with running these damage checks, really trying to hunt him down, but they didn't account for the Soulless that's going to be hunting on those white stairs, as they're just going to try and free away.
Sometimes a little bit of chess matching will go a long way, and BJL another one. It seems that playing the fake out, that running around downstairs and being an absolute madman is a good play. Also a little bit of maybe salty texting in the match chat. Don't pay too much mind. I will admit it's a little entertaining nonetheless. More playing in a minute 30, you're halfway through the round. I don't know what the plan is for TeamSESH so far. You can still pivot, obviously. You still have a lot of essential ops here. Your hard reach is gone, and so is your flank watch, which means that you can see pretty much anyone come in and really roam. This is going to be a really hard post plant, and I really think you're going to have to see an elimination style win here if you're going to want to get this done.
Yeah, thankfully you do still have space on that Hibana, so you do have a little bit of hard bridge to work with, but not to the extent that you're really wanting. Losing that ace early definitely is going to be a pain, but you do have the sights here, as Hibana's just opening up some holes, really trying to give them some pressure, as the smoke's being tracked out by Damos, really trying to get some info on where everyone's at.
Yeah, and all the madness ensues in the set. Unity, more importantly, take the advantage they need. Circusal can try to work it back all he wants. But realistically, the numbers here are going to be maybe a little too much to eclipse. Never say never. I've seen Sesh pull out the impossible, but Hat's going to try to make sure Fate stays closed. Don't give him the fairy tale ending they wish for. Don't give him the fairy tale half. But a triple to start off will do wonders here. Looking for the ace now. It still has a Damos track on hand, so you can really afford to go so. But he has to go aggressive here realistically if he wants to win this. He has to take these harder fights, but Vic Bands is perfection at those. He's going to clean it up, and more importantly, TeamSESH tie it back.
Yeah, and what a round out of BJL there too. Getting a triple, really trying to put that pace back onto Unity's front foot and really setting the tone where Sesh really could not find anything in that round, really just letting all of Unity kind of do whatever they want and not really doing what we saw in that first attack round and really play as team coordinated, as we're kind of seeing players just kind of fall one by one on these one-off swings and not playing these promises that we've seen before out of them.
Yeah, and that'll mean one more round for Unity, and more importantly, the neck and neck game that every single caster loves. I promise you, every single caster wants the full 15. Are we going to get it? We hoped for it last game. Maybe we didn't get all too close. We got an overtime at least. That's a start. But 4-4, it feels like this one is much more you're going band for band here. Maybe a bit of a Vic Bands joke. Don't hate me. I got to make the corny joke at least once. But, it's still a very valuable point here is that neither team is really taking that advantage. They've had good starts. They've had good spurts here, maybe 1 or 2 rounds to get ahead. But it has not been consistent for their side. They both had their struggles. And on a new map like Fortress, that at least means we're likely going to go blow for blow, and hopefully that overtime that everyone loves to see.
Yeah, and Fortress would be another map to do it. I mean, we saw the overtime thriller on Club Pass, that first map we saw. But can we see another one? Back-to-back overtime thriller games would be beautiful to get. And it's every caster's dream, right? Let's go all the way. Let's go all 15 every single map. Just the way you want to see it. But we're seeing some early info come out from Sesh, really figuring out what they want to do, kind of picking and prying around the map, and really seeing some early intel. Just finding out that there's a Fender, getting the drones on him, and forcing him out of the position that Hat's playing in, and really trying to kind of bring this web around. As we've seen space below, ready to kind of pinch and set up that pressure that we know them to do so well.
And literally everyone drops the courtyard here. Still, once again, a bit of a new spot, so you can find value here. That is at least the plan. You're going to see the swings go wide. A down comes in for Vic Band. Hat, TK, everyone's on the board trying to find their piece of the action. At least seems like the advantage does rule the favor of TeamSESH to start off here. Getting themselves a nice one-player advantage, taken right back by Hat. And more importantly, they were Rower. I think that niche pick that was expected, but BJL continues to surprise. Unity continue to find themselves back in a position to win. And what looked like a hard win situation for the group of, TeamSESH immediately flipped just like that. Once again, we're back to the point we saw before, a 4-5, that match point situation, and more importantly, that last ban here.
And I was going to say, I thought I might be seeing something I had seen before, but now Sesh is just saying, okay, we're just going to go for the Eleban. We're tired of letting Vic do whatever he wants. And Unity's just like, okay, we're just going to force your clearing out your util for these post plants. We're just going to make that even harder. We're going to ban the Grim out. But it looked like Sesh had the right idea. They saw that Unity was so far outspread and really not playing off each other like they needed to. But they were able to just take the site quick and direct with that blue tower side push. And unfortunately, they couldn't get the bomb down like they wanted to, and it really ended up costing them. They had the right game plan, they had the right idea, but the execution was a little shaky. And Unity were able to just claw their way back from a 3v5 and really just run the show back in their favor and really just keep the momentum going for them. For Sesh, need to find something here, because that's 2 in a row now for Unity that they've gotten. Are they going to be able to keep that momentum going?
A part of me wants to say, it won't happen. They're going to see me a bang, overtime banger, and they're going to find a way. But I realize that Unity is an aggressive team that relies on momentum. And you're giving a team that loves momentum to work with. This feels like a match made in, I suppose, heaven if you're Unity and hell if you decide of TeamSESH. So you really got to find a way to break the quid pro quo. We've always seen that when Unity can get themselves on the board, get the momentum going in the right direction, they continue to dominate, and it seems to stay strong as Kiru is going to find it. Certainly not the player or the pick that you expected from. I don't think anyone's going to expect to really be your on-guard entry player, but a pick is a pick nonetheless, and more importantly, a body off the board, and Nomad is certainly going to hurt here, as the roam aggressive team now has 0 checks and balance to keep them from roaming even more aggressively.
Yeah, especially as they're drawing out this castle and really trying to put the pressure on him, kind of putting him in a weird spot where he's not going to be able to get out, but it looks like he is due to these castle barricades that really just set him up well, as BGL is trying to get the pick back onto this blitz and punish them for this aggressive roam clear.
Yeah, and now you end in a 4v5, but Kiru finds one more, as apparently the castle is the greatest weapon to ever exist. Make that a triple. I'm sorry, is the castle the new greatest? Is this Shaiko? Did we see an incarnation of him? Apparently not, as Space at least gets something going here. Kiru is still alive, though, so maybe there is still Shaiko among us in the Unity side. Maybe Kiru can prove that a UMP is in fact not a bad gun, and in fact his greatest item ever. It did get a buff not all too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, in that mid-season patch, so a buff should maybe help. The damage, I think, went up just a little bit, which is always a nice change, but now in a 2v3 here, it's still, once again, a bit of a do or die. You give them that momentum, you get to the match point. I really do wonder, can TeamSESH get close to pulling it back?
Yeah, and TK in such a weird position with this health too, being on 1 HP, really just can't let anything happen. And Space is going to take the one, but Shrade's going to come out, and now TK is stuck in this 1v2 against the Smoke and the Castle with just a sliver of HP. Really going to be in a tough position here while they're holding it off of each other in a really well done.
I mean, finding one is going to help. Finally, the UMP goes down. This is, once again, these weird situations. Everything says it shouldn't happen. Everything says you shouldn't win this. But at the end of the day, I've seen crazier wins. And now you're going to see TK go for the plant. And Vic fans obviously float himself around. The shotgun does wonders here in a position like this. But too aggressive with the smoke play. Sesh continues to find ways to live on. As I mentioned, momentum felt impossible. But a part of me wants that. And apparently, the casting gods answered today, stronger than ever, as despite being at a sliver HP, despite everything saying it shouldn't happen, a 1v2 clutch, and more importantly, we're tied right back up.
And wow, out of TK there, just decide, you know what, I'm just going to let it hang low, and I'm going to swing the smoke, who's throwing an active smoke canister. And that's just really rough timing if you are Vic fans. You have the shotgun, you can play it well, and you still have a smoke in pocket to burn time. Where TK just says, I'm going to ignore all that. I'm going to swing you right as you're throwing the smoke. I don't care that you have a shotgun. I don't care I'm 1 HP. I'm just the better player. And really just shutting Vic fans back down and really just having his own game. TK really just trying to put his team on his back and allow his team to get back in this one. What seemed like it was a really rough position, being in a 1v2 with just a sliver of HP to winning a round that can help his team set up the momentum back in their favor and take them out that they desperately need.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, I just quickly want to bring up what you said, letting them nuts hang. A little bit crazy to say, but more importantly, maybe apparently Vic Band's aggressiveness got stolen for 4 seconds there. Maybe they siphoned it away. Because you have to be insane when you realize that a smoke is being thrown, you hear the sound cue. If there is one tick of that, you're dead. He was low enough for just one tick, which means if you breathe air, you die. If the shotgun is out in the time, you die. If he has an SMG left, you're likely to do a hip fire. There was nothing that said he should have swung. Yet, apparently just that gut feeling came in right. That intuition did wonders, and it gives TeamSESH a round that maybe wasn't expected to go their way by any real logical means. So it seems aggression is going for the W once again, even if it isn't from the team that we so much expect.
Yeah, and we're seeing here out of Sesh again, bringing out a op lineup that could be going aggressive. We're seeing a Yin come out, which is the first we've seen out of them. But they're already detecting that the Solus where the Solus is, and really allowing them to do what they want. The map comes out, really helping them clear this wall out. And maybe we might see a quick XG come out that we haven't seen. As the C4 goes down, the Pure is still just going to be able to punish, but he doesn't get the wall. And that's a Twitch drone that he's going to shoot as well. Are they going to go for a window hop out? We heard Sesh talk about it in the pre-show, in their interview. I'll watch out for a window. They're just going to go for a window swing.
Maybe we do see the window. Who knows? This is one of those cases where, like, would it be crazy? Maybe. Would it be ridiculous to see an interview actively about saying maybe don't do a window hop out and then they actively do a window hop out? Well, apparently you're right. Apparently the interview called it. TeamSESH was in fact correct. The window hop out was going to come. And as much as they said they're going to shut it down through the aggression, that's not happening. In fact, you're seeing Unity continue to keep getting pick after pick after pick. Make that another, maybe not in the direction expected as TK is trying to save his round here. But there's still so many bodies on the board, and more importantly, a 1v3 now for space. Now, part of me would say this is impossible. But on the other hand, we literally just saw 1v2 in these dudes on a sliver HP. But it seems finally the normality will be proven right. We get ourselves to a match point, and after a weird chain of events, Unity get themselves where they want to be. Had a chance for a regulation win. Still one more round for TeamSESH to try to change their fate.
And wow, what did we call? Hey, maybe they are going to go for a window play. And sure enough, they went exactly for that. Just a few seconds later, right as we kind of switched off. But that was really crazy to see of how Sesh just couldn't respond to the aggression that Unity's giving. But we saw TK try and go for another hero play again and just wasn't able to close it out. Swinging through a smoke canister again. Maybe TK's the new smoke demon, right? Where's Stewie 2K nowadays, right? Is that TK reincarnated? Like, what are we seeing here? Just playing through these smoke canisters and really just not giving a care in the world.
I mean, at some point, I find it a little crazy that it feels like half of these rounds are decided off of one operator, even if the sides are polar opposite in terms of how they play, what they do using the smokes. But you know what? I'll take it. Maybe the op is intertwined with fate today. Maybe whenever we see a smoke, we know something's about to change. Maybe that fares well for now as Kier has the smoke in hand. Maybe this is the round they pull it back. I mean, we literally saw TK run through it and find his way into a 1v2. He had no real logic of winning. There was nothing that said he should have, but miracles happen. One more may come today. And hopefully we get ourselves an overtime, double overtime in both of our games. You know what? That'd be a miracle in my book. Don't you agree?
Oh, I 100% agree on that. As we're seeing some of this early info come out from Sesh, as this Twitch drone is going to get shot. That is not what you want to see if you are TK, who's been on a bit of a tear. Being 13-6, but they're doing exactly what they wanted, as there goes TK early. That is not what you want to see. That is your carry. That is your Twitch. That is the person who has kept you in this game round after round going down. But then on the other side, BGL is going to go down too. A player who has given them life after life going down as well.
Hey, it seems all the playmakers are going to leave the building. Hero's still obviously alive, and he's kind of done a lot of his work on the weirder ops here. I mean, getting a lot of your kills here from a UMP and an operator that you don't ever really touch, and this is a new one, a new territory for most people, it's kind of crazy work. At the end of the day, this map is new, it's experimental. You're going to see the fun stuff, like Cirque's out going aggressive like Unity would. Maybe he said, what would they do? Maybe what would Vic Vans do? There's a reason he dropped so many in a game. So we'll copy him. We'll go aggressive as well. We'll show that we can do the exact same thing Unity does so well every round. They have the advantage now, and at halfway point, this is about as perfect as they can get to really go into this here.
Yeah, picking off that smoke and that soul is so early really is going to help you out for these executes. You don't have to worry about the smoke denial, but you don't also have to worry about the souls being able to constantly give info about where you're planning and what util you have out. So it's going to be interesting to see. So Denari's kind of walking up here and just going to get punished again. Cirxel said, oh, you're going to kill TK. You're going to kill our top carry. Don't worry. I'm just going to take this right back. I'm going to take the reins.
And now it gets even tighter as he doesn't even know where. Kicks out. Just kind of got entirely hit by a shot there. Makes it even harder. And then down as well. It seems that we're going to get ourselves to that 3v2. At least a reasonable situation here. Now you're going to see both of them hold the cross here. Find one. Try to find two here. Perfection is necessary if you want to win. And in a 3v1, you got to make it close. TeamSESH have the advantage now, and they'll clean it out. They get themselves to an overtime, and we're seeing 2 overtimes in already beautiful 2-game series. 2 different games.
Yeah, and 2 back-to-back games where you don't know what's going to happen in any of these rounds. This is going to be an interesting one to see how this overtime match goes in. And that's 3 overall today. We've casted only 2 of them, but there was the game 2 on that Karn & Co game earlier where we saw them go all the way as well. So it's 3 overtime games back to back to back. So today's just been the caster's dream, right? Just constant overtime games and allowing us to see plenty of Siege played out to the fullest extent.
Yeah, I mean, you don't generally see this. It's crazy, but like, the fact that it happened this much in one day, I think is every caster's dream. They're counting their lucky stars that we get to see so much Siege, more importantly, so much good. Obviously, that first game between the all-stack game, name wish pun intended, but sadly not. It was at least a good game there. That one still went at least relatively close. And everything else has been an absolute bang. You couldn't ask for a more cinematic kind of end to the first play. This is literally the perfection in terms of what you want. So now it's all about cleaning it up at the very end here for TeamSESH Unity. TeamSESH have certainly shown that they have the moments, they have the flashes, but it feels like Unity every single time has shown that aggression can outrule even the greatest IGLing at times.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen like what we thought going into this game kind of be flipped on us. We heard, oh yeah, gotta watch out for Big Bands. Don't let them drop 20. Don't let them go these high aggressive games. And really, we're seeing out of Unity is kind of more spread out, right? We're not seeing anyone really pop up and everybody else struggle. And so it looks like we might have a rush coming in here from Sesh, or maybe just an early aggressive play, as all of Unity is just falling off and giving them over that space. But like I was mentioning, is we're not seeing the hero plays come out. We have the Deimos and the ace of TK and Cirxel really kind of holding their team up, where the rest of the team's kind of struggling, which is what we thought we would see out of Unity. It kind of is like the whole roles are flipped.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Game is still a game, and this has certainly been a good one. I don't know what Badger is planning though. Maybe he thinks he's hearing things. I mean, to be certainly fair, the hearing on this map can be a little weird at times, especially if you're new. You might think something sideways is below you. I've done it more than once looking through it. Let's be honest, I think everyone has at some point getting used to a new map. The sounds can be a little funky, so you're at least going to see a little bit of maybe a misstep, but he'll do just fine. It's only going to waste a couple of seconds there. More importantly, you're going to see him kind of canvas the area here. See him realize there's a lot of utility that stuff's to be dealt with. At least in the alternative way to get it done here. Instead, space is going to come around, sit into more of a weird spot with the hard breach. But more importantly, it's going to create that extra sideline to really give Unity just a little more pressure to deal with here.
Yeah, and Unity's kind of been playing this more roam extended game. So I wonder if Badger and them are thinking, okay, where is someone on this lane? Where is someone flanking? Where are they going to try and backstab us from? Where are they going to try and punish us from? As Hat's going to take some early damage, but Badger's going to also take it back.
End in a minute point here. This is where all of the madness goes. We still haven't seen a pick on the board for finally a down comes. It took forever. Hero gets taken out as he makes a pick. BJ as well. Everybody finds themselves in the endgame scenario here. They know they got to go aggressive. So TK looking to try to one-up maybe what was done before, but ain't going to happen. Now 1v2 for Kicks out. Wants the miracle run to happen, but always going to be hard. We've seen 1v2s before. Just in this game today, the aggression has to be unmatched. The plays as well. One body on the floor is going to get you closer. Now to a 1v1 that we've seen before. BJ maybe was the man alive, but we've seen Unity in these. The aggression they can show can sometimes falter when you're left in these situations here where it's the one body, mono e mono. There's not this chance to really play behind a facade. It's all about the gun skill. but Unity does always succeed at that. They've always been a great team for it, but the problem is he doesn't even know BJ has an absolute angle, and more importantly, a match point now for Unity.
Yeah, and what a round from Unity, really holding the crosses and really playing off each other up until that last little bit there when it got stuck in that 1v3 and really just kind of going back to what they're known for and playing that one-man army and just really just trying to play a bunch of solo plays, and it almost cost them. Unfortunately, they did not lose, so we did not see TeamSESH continue that run that we have been seeing where they've been winning these clutches. But if you're Unity, you're kind of breathing a little bit lighter after that one, right? You didn't kind of throw away that round that honestly could have went either way, and really just putting yourself in that foot forward and having that lead going into this last round. Almost want to say, we can relax a little bit now. But now, it's still down to, you still have to attack this map one more time. You don't want to let TeamSESH get the momentum back, especially with how these teams have been playing each other.
And as I see, out of all things possible, you're going to see BJL take probably the most, I guess what's the word, shoehorned in reference for a singular point. Roller rivals, say what you will about it. He's mentioning, if some of you that may not know what a roller prime is, it's essentially their version of like a very important game. Once a month, they all get together and have themselves a very large ensemble with a whole lot of teams and a whole lot of people trying to do their own thing, get their wins in. And, so far, not anything crazy. I mean, you can have all the banter you want here, but you're still one round away from a max round. It's not like you're exactly winning by a huge amount here. You're on a match point, absolutely. We saw the same thing before, and we saw a comeback as well. So it feels like calling it now, maybe getting too toxic could very well cost them just mentally.
Yeah, and especially if they're going to keep with these mental games, and we've seen it out of them all game, is TeamSESH just kept to themselves, really. We really only saw them ever talking, especially after that TK clutch, but they've just kind of been playing their own game, playing their own. TK's going to take some early damage here, and they're going to punish, which is not what you want to see, especially out of your top frag.
It's not going to make it easy. I will certainly give you that, but there's still a way to win. I mean, out of all things, TK, listen, low health isn't pretty. No one's going to say that. But to be fair, we did just see the man clutch a 2v1 while on much less HP with much, much, much worse positioning. So, you never know with the man. Let's be honest. TK just had probably one of his craziest starts of the game, and he's looking to make him try to rival the 20 bomb. Is he going to have them? Maybe not. There's probably a lot of kills that have to come in. But at the end of the day, you never know. More importantly, we've seen him go big in rounds, so you can never count him out. Even if the HP isn't the highest, he can still be that absolute threat that you must worry about.
Yeah, as we're seeing those kind of sight walls go open, I don't think they know about space above, who's really kind of be a pressure in their side if they're not careful, but they do spot him out. So he is going to have to rotate away. Or if the Zing is going to pressure him out. As they're getting the vert and they're getting these hatches open, it could be an execute here early, or we might be wasting a little bit more time. But we're seeing the flashes and the smokes come out. As the plant looks like it's going to return, but they're going to get the opener.
Start that you want to see, but bodies are still going to come flying. Kiru is back on the board. Make that 15 now for him. He's going huge. Big Zhao as well. The bodies all come flying, but everyone's going huge when they need it most. Now with Hat in a 1v3, miracles aren't going to happen today. We're going to max rounds. Now 3 overtimes games in a row. We're ending at the most cinematic game possible. 15 to go.
Yeah, and Kicks out, what a player. We saw him in the interview early. He was having a bit of a rough one, but in these last few rounds, he has really been the spark that TeamSESH has needed and really helped them stay in these rounds. Being stuck in the 1v3, having these rounds where you got to triple the round before, you got to triple that round. He is now on a tear and is really bringing life back to the TeamSESH roster, especially when they need it, especially against TK, who's been having a rough little few rounds, really giving TeamSESH the spark they need and really shutting down people like Vic Vance and Kiru, who have been going on a tear.
Now for one more to prove. To be so close every single time, but not quite enough. You get one more chance to prove what is left in you, have everything emptied in the tank, as you literally could not go for a longer game. Also, I will say, crazy, no tech rehost, no tech pauses. We have no timeouts even. This one has been a non-stop, back-to-back, zero frills game. there hasn't been any level of of like really rethinking here. Both these teams, I think, at this point, they're fighting so neck and neck. And if you take a timeout, those shows maybe you don't trust yourself. Maybe you don't think the situation is there. But it feels like both of these teams gearing up now. They have the absolute trust in themselves. They can find a way to pull it out, despite it being 7-7, despite maybe having some shaky plays, and finally go like crazy.
Yeah, no, and this is gonna be a game of the books, especially a way to close out our day today, being a max overtime game. For whoever team wins it, honestly, they deserve it. We've seen two teams battle it through the ages, and it looks like we're going through a fast play from Sesh. Strat we have not seen from them, running this Monty up these old tower stairs. They're kind of just ignoring it now. They kind of just put the phantom pressure there, as they're kind of just burning out this time in this util and really just allowing their team to go for it. As here comes the Monty running down BJL, running this duo play with the Deimos as well, and really just allowing their team to clear out all these roamers and really just go for this end execute on site.
Just a minute in, there's already quite a few bodies getting themselves in the positions they wish to hold for most of the game. But now it's always about the fine details, the fine stuff. Azami getting at least a bit of a target there. Deimos from Cirque Zao is really going to try to find something, but sadly that stone floor isn't going to do all too much in the situation. You can give all the calls you wish, but there isn't too much you can really do, at least directly, to cause that death. You're going to instead have to wait maybe a little bit longer to find what could have been an impactful one. Instead, you look elsewhere. You look to see what other things you can maybe find. As you are also seeing a bit of a play from Horse finally. We haven't seen this a lot from Unity, but it feels like in this last round they realized maybe this is a position we want to lock down here. We're also going to see Monty on Badger as well. You're seeing them really try to group it up here, try to get something together. But as I said, that huge shot from the Azami, you lose your shield now. This round gets even harder.
Yeah, it looked like Badger was trying to go through a hop-in on that breach, and it looks like it is over. So it looks like this is going to be a tough round. There goes Kixel as well, too, who has been a spark for you. But there's still a minute left in this round, and Sesh has a lot of space that they need to work on. As we're starting to get to another, there goes Cirques. It is now down to Space and TK. TK has been your knight in shining armor. Can he close this out?
Do you believe in miracles? Is the question some would say. We at least have seen a couple of days today. Hat getting down will certainly help get moving here. A plan as well should certainly get it in the right direction. And they might not even know, but the Echo will find at least Kiru gonna find their value, getting everything they can together. But the problem is with 3 yokais, realistically, you can sit here all you want, keep hammering how many ever yokais, and more importantly, concussion blasts you want. Just keep buying time for the post lane here, and with another pick going your way, it's now a 1v4. Miracles need to happen. One goes out, but not the other. BJL sitting in the corner on the prone. He's going to get it done, and more importantly, close it out finally for Unity. An 8-7 absolute banger.
Yeah, I don't know. What a game we had. Completely thrown through. No timeouts. It was pure just aggression back and forth. The battle of wits, the battle of gun skill, the battle of mentals. And if you're TK in SESH, that's not what you want to see. You fought it all the way, but unfortunately, you did come up short. Whereas for your Unity, and the way Unity had been all day, you're really like, oh wow, that game was a lot closer than we needed. That was not what they were expecting, and they wanted that game over 7 rounds ago. So definitely a thorough and through long, worn out game. I know both these teams are really tired after that one.
I mean, you literally cannot go longer in terms of what you could ask for. Cinema for us, maybe, but for them, I guarantee you they're on the edge of their seats every single round. And you'll sadly see Sesh go home after what was a pretty interesting interview, but not without the win today. They'll go out a pretty big banger, obviously, but that'll start them 0-1. Pretty hard start for them. And honestly, if you're Unity, what do you think at this point? Is this that win you really wanted, or is this maybe not one you're proud of?
If you're Unity, it's probably not one you're proud of, right? You had already beat them earlier on in that Swiss in a 7-4, and you're like, oh, we just get to beat them down again. They won't give us a fight. And sure enough, Unity had their work cut out for them. Almost was a nail-biter game that they almost lost. There was a few rounds there that if they didn't have some of those hero plays come out, and that could have went for both teams, right? Both teams had some hero plays here and there that really gave them the rounds that they needed in order to really solidify their win.
And a beautiful game for them, and more importantly, a beautiful final game for tonight. Though I think we have a couple of other things to really finish up here before we get off stream here.
Yeah, we're gonna have the standings so far for the day, which even though SESH did lose, they ended up being in the 5th spot. So thankfully, them being able to take it all the way really did work out in their favor and gave them a point, with Ballsack Nation leading us with 3 points, going 7-3 in their opener, and Karn being in that 2nd slot with that early overtime win that we saw, where SSG ACAD and Orglis are the bottom 2 teams and are really off to a rough start. But there's plenty of Siege left. We still have plenty of days left, and there are still plenty of teams to face.
Yeah, and how honestly, for the end of the day here, it just really ended off. What do you think is your favorite match to go for?
Probably that first one we saw, that game between Orglis and Senguns. I think that one was a absolutely beautiful game on Clubhouse, even with Senguns winning in the way that they did, but the way that there was constant comebacks, Orglis being down 2-4, then to bring it back up, being up 6-4, then Senguns being able to just close it out the way they did 8-6. Really just that back and forth game that we saw of both teams trying to make these comebacks happen, and Senguns just having that final laugh.
Yeah, certainly a hard day for them. And honestly, you couldn't ask for a better day, Siege, honestly. 3 overtimes, perfection from the night. It has been a beautiful one, but we'll see y'all later.